So Donald Trump had a very good night last night on CNN. Now, if you love him, you're going to agree with me. If you hate him, like all the CNN commentators who trash their own town hall, and a wonderful example of media as self-immolation by a network that basically nobody watches, then you probably won't agree with me. But if you're in the middle someplace, I think you'd be very interested in Mr. Trump's strong grasp of policies, his steady demeanor, his sense of humor, even while he was under assault from host Caitlin Collins. Even if you don't agree with him on everything, I still think middle-of-the-roaders would at least have grudging respect for Mr. Trump and how he handled himself. I mean, the CNN host had particularly bad manners with constant interruptions. But Mr. Trump handled her very well. And by the way, I didn't like all the gotcha questions on the 2020 election, January 6th, and court cases. But she had a right to ask all that. I just don't think she had a right to interrupt constantly. And that's what she did. But Mr. Trump, it's not his first rodeo. And he had the strong backing of the Republican and independent crowd at St. Anselm College. He really got out a lot of important policy opinions. And I want to begin with this sound in what I think was perhaps his absolute best moment in the town hall. Take a listen.
If elected president again, what is the first thing you would do to help bring down the cost to make things more affordable?
Drill, baby, drill. We have more liquid gold under our feet than any other nation. And these stupid fools ended it. We created the greatest economy in history. A big part of that economy was got you the biggest tax cuts in the history of our country, bigger than the Reagan cuts, bigger than any. And also, Caitlin, as you know, we got the biggest regulation and regulatory cuts. This place was rocking.
Home run, Mr. President. Drill, 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 cut taxes, reduce regulations, economic prosperity. I think if you stick with that agenda right there, just the way you put it, maybe expand a little bit what a second term would look like to enhance your prosperity agenda. And if you stay on that message, I believe you will return to the White House. But of course, there was a lot more in this town hall. Given the catastrophic chaos at our southern border, everyone's witnessing as Joe Biden's open borders policy ends Title 42 at 12 midnight tonight. Here's what Mr. Trump had to say about all that.
We have open borders. Look at what's happening on our southern border. Millions and millions of people are coming here. They're being released from prisons. They're being released from mental institutions. And we have millions of people pouring into our country. And now they're getting rid of Title 42, which I put on, which kept people out. I built a wall. I built hundreds of miles of wall, and I finished it. And then I said, we have to build some more.
Then, even while Ms. Collins continued to badger Mr. Trump about January 6th, he finally had this to say. Take a listen.
Do you have any regrets about your actions on January 6th?
Well, I offered them National Guard. I said, we'll give you soldiers, we'll give you National Guard, we'll give you whatever you want. On January 5th, the day before, I said, please support our Capitol Police and law enforcement. They are truly on the side of our country. We want no violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you. That was at 2:30.
All right, so he actually had receipts to show that he gave those videos and speeches. Now, there are two other points I want to make about all this. Donald Trump is a superb negotiator. So, for example, when Ms. Collins kept asking about abortion or Vladimir Putin or who should win the war in Ukraine or the debt ceiling, Mr. Trump tried to explain to her that you negotiate these things. Now's the time to stop the killing in Ukraine was his key point. Then later, sure, you can go after Putin as a war criminal, but first stop the killing. Now, if there were to be a national abortion law, which, by the way, he has not yet specifically favored, but the point he made was ending Roe v. Wade in the Supreme Court gives the pro-life people a vastly stronger negotiating position to come up with a law or policy that would have widespread support. That's what negotiation is all about, bringing parties together, or even on the debt ceiling. Now, not for 1 minute does Trump want a default, but what he tried to explain is the art of the deal, the art of negotiating, using a debt default as a negotiating tool. threats matter. I mean, I watched him do it with China in the trade talks. I watched him do it any number of times with issues large and small. One of the many troubles with Joe Biden is he has no idea how to negotiate. He doesn't use negotiations as a policy tool for, among various reasons, he hardly ever shows up. And when he does show up, he's barely copacetic. Trump, on the other hand, is a brilliant negotiator. It was part of his trade craft when in private business. And by the way, as a young man, when I worked in the Reagan administration, I watched the Gipper negotiate brilliantly, remembering he was actually the president of the Screen Actors Guild Union, and he also honed his negotiating skills while a spokesman for GE. So I'll just conclude all this by saying, please stay on message, Mr. President. Make America great again. Again.